Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. Here again, we are talking about how to get stronger during these pretty chaotic and worrisome times. Things just seem to get worse every day when you look at the news. And as I had mentioned in the first video, having ourself is the most important factor here. Is feeling secure and safe enough in our own decision making and in the things that we stand for. So, as I had said, having your own back and being in control of yourself is just the most vital component to anything at this time. We realize that, we may have assistance on the outside and people that are there for us. There may be, support around us. But in the end, we really have to just, again, really have ourselves and take back our power because we've been giving it away our whole lifetime. Let's be honest. Now to take it back does feel a little strange. Some of us may feel like it's selfish. Some of us may feel uncomfortable with that. Some of us may feel scared because we've never truly stood in our power. And we've relied on people our whole life, systems, all kinds of things. So that's still the basis of anything that we're doing going forward. And it's not an instantaneous process. So just so you know, if you're struggling with it, I understand, and it isn't the easiest, especially when we haven't really looked at that or really owned up to that. But again, if you find value in who you are, do you find value in yourself? Do you feel like you're worth being loved and worth being here? Like your existence is valid or just as worthwhile as other people's. Well, I want to tell you that you're worth as much as everyone else. You are your own person. No matter what your life has been through or what you've been through or how you've been in life, you can always come back to yourself, because that's what some of us find towards the end of time. And what I've seen in a lot of my patients is that, at the end, when their spouse died and their family doesn't live near them and they're all alone, yes, granted, it's fearful, scary times, especially if we're older and we're a little weaker and we cannot actually do all of the things for ourselves. But mentally and emotionally, if we can find our strength, and personally, to some degree, I believe it's truly something if you have God in your corner, or you're, in some way you have faith in a higher power, or your creator, the divine, however you want to see it, Jesus. When you have that, I truly believe, because that has given me strength through my years, is to know that I'm not alone even when I'm alone. So that I just want to put out there. I won't go into that because not everybody believes that there's anything else out there. But if you do, and I especially at some point, being raised religiously Catholic, everything, I turned away from it because of what I had seen. I was, children are keen, and I really didn't buy into some of the things that were going on and the people representing. But however, later in life, especially in the last couple of years, I've turned back to my spirituality, to God, and it has elevated so many things in my life. I have felt much safer because of it. Because in the end, I just believe that we're not alone. And I even myself reach to passed away loved ones because, why not, right? There are times, and I'm not alone in saying that sometimes the signs that they are there for us do show up. But so anyway, if that's part of it for you, I would also just support you in having more, maybe more thought through what that's like for you. So I had a random video that I did, and I put in some breath work. I did the box breathing method, which is 4 breath, holding, taking a deep breath, 4 counts, breathing in, holding for 4 counts, 4 counts, breathing out, and holding again for 4 counts. There are other methods. There's channels on YouTube that do specific breath work that I would recommend looking into, because they'll literally have a 6-minute video that teaches you a lot. So the next thing I'd like to mention is how humming and music and sound resonates to change our vibration. And if our vibration, and we're in fear, we're scared, we're worried, think of it as that all that stuff kind of lowers our energy level. It lowers our vibrational level. If we're sitting in fear and worry the whole time, through our day, stressed out, right? Our jobs are stressful, family, finances, we're kind of hanging out in like a low vibration where we can get hurt a lot easier, meaning the next thing that comes at us really maims us again. It's just like never ending. It doesn't stop. But when we start to elevate our vibration and bring ourselves up out of that, when the things come through, because it's not to say they're not going to happen, but we can handle them better, right? So this is going to go a long way for us, because right now, the state of the world, and whatever country you're in, especially here in the United States, it may look okay right now, but I have a feeling we're going to start feeling an impact even stronger than we were or have been presently. So sometimes when, and I've read about this is scientific proof, there's vibrational frequencies to humming, or when people have heard about the Om chant, that the Buddhist monks and people do, those vibrations that we are using our voice for, or our, sound, is actually going to increase the vibrational frequency of our own self, our body, and our mindset. So when I'm feeling down or I'm scared, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I've been in situations where I'm nervous. There's things going on in my life that are out of my control, and I'm just having a really hard time with it. And I'll just start humming, right? So you can hum however you want to. You can hum a tune that you know. You can just start humming a complete whatever it is. You hum a couple times for a couple minutes, or however you want to do that. Hum your song. Honest to God, the minute you're done with that, you feel completely different. You feel a little uplifted, and like things aren't as bad. The Om sound is very well known, once again. And most people can do it and know how to do it. Oh, and you can repeat that. Also, another way to do that is, if you're not going to hum, you can listen to the music on, say, a YouTube video. There are wonderful channels out there. You can look up Om, and there are people that have made some magical and beautiful music with the Om in the background, like that really deep Om that you would hear it like a temple, or just so significant. It'll just shift all of your energy, your mood, the vibration around you. Just listen to that for a little while. And also, I like to mention the frequencies that are well known, like 528 hertz. It's a grounding frequency. It's a heart resonation. It kind of brings us back to center. So 528 hertz, there's tons of music out there with that frequency in the background, right? So they'll make this beautiful music with that frequency in the background. And again, shifts you right. I mean, it shifts you right out of being in a bad place. If you have that playing in the background during stressful times, like working from home. Sometimes my work from home is completely stressful, but if I put that on in the background before I realize it, within about 10 minutes, things feel better. So there's so much to raising our vibration, because all this fear, all the worry, whether it's about sickness, and then, thank God, I mean, I don't listen to the news, but I haven't really been hearing a lot about viruses and that whole thing getting us again. There was like a wave of it coming in where they were saying, oh, there's a new, and some of you might be hearing that on the news. I'm sure that they have some of that going on. It's like the new flu strain. They have a new COVID strain and coming around. So I mean, as a nurse, when I realized coronavirus, and though somebody made it in lab and, it really did a number on people, there's so much behind it, but yet, the credit I gave it, I tried to keep it under the rug, because when we get really excited and upset and nervous about it, it's like when you're most vulnerable and then something attacks you, you're like taken out. But if you're stronger and that thing comes through, it's better able to pass by, or you can go through it easier, right? So we've got that coming at us. There's wars going on. We are losing our grip on our finances. Our money is falling apart. The state of the country that everybody is in right now, I don't care where we are, there's havoc going on. If we looked around at the world news and like really saw what was going on, I'm not sure where peace literally is, unless it's in the middle of a jungle somewhere with a tribe that has nothing to do with society. They may have peace still, Otherwise, the rest of us are feeling it, whether it's happening right directly in our world, like where we are, or happening somewhere outside of us. I know we're all feeling it. So it's very essential for us to ground ourselves through all this, because there's still more to come. So something also that I like us to talk about, besides the humming and the breath work, is our mindset and what we're thinking, right? Because we can go really crazy and get out of control in our thoughts. I've been there. So once we have a worrisome thought, 10 more come along with it. Am I right? I think, oh my gosh, I have this issue, or what am I going to do? Because say finances are stressing us out. What are we going to do if we can't literally make more money, or there's just nothing that we could see in our sight at the time to resolve that? Now, I'm not saying a thought or words are going to ultimately make everything go away, change it all, and make everything better, right? However, our thinking and our words have a huge impact on how we receive and handle things. So when we're in a worrisome state, we're definitely in like a fearful mindset. We're just like worried about what's around the corner. We're worried about things that aren't even happening yet. Or yes, we're stressed out about this present moment. So how can we handle that present moment in a different way? We can shift our mindset. First of all, again, we can turn to unseen powers. To me, that's like a big one. That's where I tend to go right away. When I'm in a bad place, stressed out, fearful, worried, I go right away to the higher powers. Or, my mother passed away. I end up reaching out to her. Now, whether or not you believe it, once again, it does seem to soothe a lot of what's going on. It takes things down a notch. Then the next thing I start doing is I start affirming and speaking things in a present tense that are more positive. My big one, whenever I'm fearful, is I am safe and protected. I am safe and protected. I've had just recently, I was in a hotel, and it was just like, I can't explain it. The energy around the hotel or wherever I was just felt very like icky. And so what I did is, as I laid in bed, because I woke up in the middle of the night, kind of like out of nowhere, and then felt this ew energy, like I couldn't go back to sleep. So however that was for me, and I'm sure a lot of you feel these things too, here, there, and everywhere, right? All of a sudden you get this bad feeling. Well, I am safe and protected. Just kept repeating it over and over and over again until there was some sense of being okay. And I was able to fall back asleep. For me, when I say that, personally, I feel like there is a protection put around me. Now, again, people may not buy into that. You may not believe it, and I understand. So, but if you're talking in a present tense, I am safe and protected, or my life is easy and worry-free, or, it's called affirmations, right? They've been around a really long time. It's speaking into the moment that which we would, desire, right? We're speaking in desire. My finances are flowing easily and freely, or money comes to me easily and freely, or, I'm not coming up with good ones right now, but there's tons of them out there. There's websites around them. Louise Hay, she's like the guru of it, because she's where I first heard about it when I was 20. And I felt it very empowering. And I've used them since then. For the last almost 30 years, I've been using affirmations. Now, does it just change your whole world or change everything? Totally no, because you need to work on that. Once you start adjusting your mindset with the affirmations, and you start to just come down a notch from those anxious jitters down to like a more grounded place, because literally your words and your thoughts and your emotion feeling will definitely have an impact on how you are and how you handle things. So I am huge on the affirmations, speaking in what you want to be. So my recommendation is look those things up and write some down on paper, start getting into looking at them, then, practice repeating them. And then the other thing I'm just going to say in this video too is to move around when things are stressful. Okay. And I did a random video, and that video I talked about the movement, and I talked about dancing around, putting on music, moving your body. There's also a shaking technique that I had mentioned as well. And it just starts with, shaking one part of your body. You do like your arm first. You can start with your head. You can start with one arm. You shake the whole thing. And then you shake the leg of that side. Then you're shaking, your body a little bit. You shake the other arm, you shake the other leg, you shake the head, and then everything you're shaking together. And if you do that for a couple minutes, you're like, what was going on? And it will literally lift your vibration to the point where you feel like a buzzing and energy. You'll feel the vibration in your body. And that's beautiful, because especially when we're really in a bad place, if only they taught that to children when they're stressed out, or, there are some schools and stuff that have like a dance thing. If you have a really good teacher and they know some of this kind of stuff, they will teach kids to, move their stuff around to get themselves into a better place. Dance, just kind of uplift the energy and uplift your mood, because although we cannot change the circumstances altogether, because at this moment, as much as we want to stop the wars and stop all this nonsense that's happening, we technically can't just do that. And the final thing I'll leave you with, because yes, we can shift our energy by movement, breath work, humming, and what we think and speak. We can also intend in our mind what we want the outcome to be, instead of worrying and focusing on the awfulness, right? Because I sometimes look at what's going on in the world, right? Although it doesn't have to do with me and my country like directly, it indirectly affects us, for one, because anything that's going on in the world is going to affect everybody else. Like, that's for sure. And because it looks like things can go really bad, and I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about, things might go south, and it could be a horrible time for many. For humanity, it is a rough time. I don't want anybody getting killed right now. The injustices feel unreal, So what I do and what I recommend is to create your own vision of what you want happening, right? So say there's fighting going on somewhere and people being harmed. Number one, I think of those people and I pray for them that there is some sort of peace that they feel. Number two, I start to disengage the action happening in my head. I'm making it up. Totally, this is like what I'm talking about. I make it up where I'm disengaging the action of harm. So when harm's about to happen, say there's this army of bad people about to attack these beautiful, peaceful people who have nothing to do with anything, that are just now going to be harmed, I disengage the bad guys in a way that like I put out the fire, like I'll throw water onto that, or I will disengage their weapons in my mind's eye. You visualize and imagine the crumpling of it. You put energy towards the strengthening and the power and the love and the peace in the people that are on that receiving end of all this trauma and all this horrorness, whatever, all this terror. But then I go to the bad guys again, and instead of hating on them and wishing them this and that, which, trust me, I've been there, but I've learned a new tool. And I feel like this new tool is more powerful because I think that the good overpowers the bad, meaning the energy behind positive and good intention is way stronger than the negative bad stuff. That's how I feel. That's how I've seen life at almost 50 years old. That's where I stand. You don't have to feel that way. And this may not work for you either. But part of me feels like if I start to see like any of their plans, because it's almost like we can see the plans ahead of time now, right? We see what they're doing, and then we're like, oh, okay, they want to ruin this place. They want to take over this place. They want to, basically, I feel like the powers that are trying to be or were, right? Because I see all the ones that are making the decisions, the leaders and everything else. And I used to say the powers that be. And then recently, even somebody had said the powers that were, because I'm not going to give them the energy of who they are and what they're doing. Instead, I'm going to disempower them mentally in the way of nothing hateful. I'm not looking to hurt or, because that energy is only matching theirs, right? My negative energy to them is match. Okay. So we're not going to match that energy. Instead, I'm going to take my feelings and I'm going to disengage any war stuff or any killing, and maybe just extend love to that negative side. I'm going to put the love and peace into them, because these are people just like you and I, and they happen to just be following an order, feeling empty, no love. They may have some hate and stuff going on in them, and they are suffering. The ones that are causing suffering are suffering. The ones that are creating fear live in fear. So they are serving something in order to make it where they feel better, right? Or they're doing a job for somebody who feels like it's their, like their right to have control, right? Like we see a lot of this right now. There's a power struggle going on, and it's just with a few people. Like in the end, there's billions of people on this planet, and there's like a handful of people who are making really bad decisions that affect everybody, right? So I know most of you feel the same way as I do. Like, who are you to be doing this, right? Like I've gotten a lot of attitude, and I get mad still. Sometimes I can't help it, because the minute I hear something and I'm like, oh, like, right? Like, you're just like, how dare you? Like, that's literally where I'll go. And then I'll have to breathe out of that, because A, it's not going to help me. It's only making my day and myself worse off to be angry. And number two, we're adding to their stuff. We're feeding it, right? Our fear, our anger, and our worry feeds the negative stuff that we're so upset about. Which, again, I understand it's not easy to do. Sending love to the enemy, so to speak, feels almost foreign and, like the wrong act. But I will tell you this, that if we put more energy and power towards disengaging, and I don't know, like say you see this plan in your mind, like they're going to take over. I just see that plan falling apart. I see God shining above. I see love beaming towards them. And of course, I'm sending love to the victims as well. Matt Kahn just did a very beautiful video on finding the peace. and he spoke this in. He spoke about like, this is all karmic. This stuff has been building up for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Hundreds of years at least. But I feel as though this is all coming to a head, right? We're getting to that point where, and I'm going to say this, at least we realize more than we have ever before. We see more than we've ever seen. This is because of the internet and everything, I'm sure, you know, we're able to see through plans. How many times have you now heard something on the news and been like, oh, I'm sure that's all it is? You could see through things. So when we can see through that person on TV, whatever, I will disengage their energy and their power. And you know, this may sound weird and strange to people. I get it. Like, this isn't everyday stuff. It's not stuff we're taught, nor is it definitely going to be for you. However, people pray, right? So instead of praying for God to save us, yes, we can pray for peace, and we can pray for love to be bestowed upon the suffering people. But there's energy in that. There's energy in prayer. So why wouldn't there be energy in my thinking around something else and intending a better outcome? So that's pretty much the tools I felt like today were important to give to you guys, because as things come up and as things happen more frequently, we are going to continue to feel these feelings, this fear and this anger and this fear, because even here in the United States, we've not seen anything really going on our soil, but I will say that there is stuff going on our soil. I'm not going to get into that because that's like, I'm trying to keep everything positive. But I do believe that we need to have our own backs and watch our back, be prepared, right? I will say this, have enough food for a month if you can, and water. I'm just saying to like, arm yourself with love, arm yourself with all the things that you need to keep yourself in a stable, strong position. Because if anything happened, we had that whole lockdown happen, and remember going to the food store? It's like going to the food store when there's like a nor'easter coming on the East Coast or a hurricane, right? Everybody goes, they run out, there's no milk, no bread left, blah, 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 right? People rush. And that happened during the pandemic. There was a time I went to the food store and I felt very insecure because I couldn't afford a bunch of food. And I saw people with carts full, and I had like a small amount because that's all I could afford, right? So what I would recommend is just get a couple extra things every time you go to the store. Just a couple extra cans of food, stuff that's non-perishable, or that'll last a little bit of time, a jug of water here and there. It will just, if anything, help you feel a little more sane, safe, secure. Hopefully we never need it. Now, when you have that food, eventually a couple months later, you can buy more and rotate it out because things expire. However, I just feel like it's a better time for us to really strengthen our position, ground ourselves, have some tools. And hey, for us, what's important most is that we have our security, and everything going on outside of us right now is kind of digging at that and kind of getting us to a place of insecurity. So that's why it's so essential for us to do that. So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful people out there right now sharing knowledge. Like I said, there's frequency music online that will just help you, like, without a doubt. I happen to love Self-Healing Collective and Jason Stevenson with a PH, Stevenson. Those two channels, just beautiful. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in, you guys, and for listening. Comment, like, subscribe. I would love to hear your feedback, and take really good care of yourselves. You are loved and special, and you are as important as everyone else. And I really want you to know that. And I will talk to you guys next video. Take care.